from my classmates. I didn't want to have to sit closer to the board. I didn't want to stand out, right? And this moment in my life just told me, like, look, you have to do these things in order to be successful. You have to take full ownership of your situation. And so I started to, that's when it really flipped the switch for me. And I started really paying attention to my mobility instructor and pulling the cane out of my bag and making it real, right? Taking full ownership of my situation. And so as I continued on in my life journey, the next thing that I learned came to me when I started getting around more and more mentors in organizations like the NFB and through sports and athletics. And what I figured out, the next thing for me was to decide. Henry Ford is quoted in saying, whether you think you can do a thing or you think you cannot, you're correct. When we decide it's possible, that's when the doors really open for us. And I want to share a joke with you guys. It's not a very good joke, but I'd appreciate some laughter because my ego is a little sensitive. So there's this little airport, right? This plane set up, there's a little puddle hopper plane that's about to take off, and about 24 passengers get on this little plane and they get settled in, and the pilots get on the plane, and both pilots have dark sunglasses and long white canes. And the pilots kind of tap their way into the cockpit and they close the door, and everybody's kind of looking around like, yeah, blind pilot, real funny, we get it. Well, they make their announcements, they kick on the engines, and the plane starts down this runway. Well, at the end of the runway, there's this huge body of water, this big lake right at the end of the runway. And so the plane is picking up speed, but it's not taking off. It's going faster and faster. And the passengers are kind of looking out the window at this water getting closer and closer, and the plane keeps going faster, but it's not taking off. And right before the plane is about to smash into the water, everybody starts to scream really loud, and then the nose of the plane jerks up and the plane takes off. And all the passengers are kind of looking around a little chagrined, like, they got us, thought we were going in that water. Well, it's quiet in the cockpit for a minute, and one of the pilots finally says to the other, one of these days, they're not going to scream soon enough. We're going to end up right in that lake. So, that was good. I appreciate the laughter. That was good. Thank you, guys. So I know it's a stupid joke. I share the joke though because we laugh because we think like, blind pilot, that's crazy. I know not one, but actually two gentlemen who are blind and who fly airplanes. They have their pilot's licenses. They fly airplanes. They have private pilot's license. They have a co-pilot that flies with them, reads off their instruments, and they fly their own airplanes. Now, I would bet that before my silly joke and that fact that I just dropped in your lap, you might have thought it was impossible for somebody who was blind to fly an airplane. There was a time not too long ago when we thought a blind person couldn't drive a car, but the NFB proved that was something that we could do, right? As soon as you decide something is impossible, well, then it becomes impossible. But once you open your minds to the idea that it could be done, asking yourself the question, how can I, instead of can I, then the door opens. All right. And when I was a kid, going into my collegiate years, I decided that it was all possible for me. And I had seen it done. And I was going to do it. I was going to be a husband and a father. I was going to own a business. I was going to get my college degree and I was going to join the workforce. I was going to own a house. I was going to travel around the world and be an elite level athlete. And, I was going to mow my lawn and own a cat and all those things that go along. I regret the cat a little bit, but the rest of it was cool. So I decided that all of that was going to be something that I could do. I decided it was possible. And so I started on this journey, right? Like I started on this path of like, I will be successful. I'm not going to let fear stop me. I'm taking full ownership. I've decided that I can do this. And that quickly brought me to the fourth point of 5,